Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Tuesday, June 19th, 2012. There's a lot to cover today in the charts, so let's get right into the S&P 500 E-mini futures. You'll see that the futures are trading higher by about 3.5 points. They did have a little bit of a dip this morning around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. However, they have since recovered, now trading into positive territory, up about 3.5 points, as you can see. Today there was a lot going on in the market, especially in Europe, of course. It looks like yields on Spanish debt have begun to soar one more time. Spain did hold an auction today. Looks like they were able to sell all their bonds, but we know who's buying them. It's usually going to be the ECB and other central banks. But bond yields did move higher. 10-year bond yield is over 7% at the moment. So market doesn't seem to be too affected by it. Seems to be shrugging it off a little bit. But nonetheless, that will be problematic going forward. Looks like you have the Spanish market today, the IBEX 35, trading up 1.58%, 1.6% at the moment. So it's a pretty big rally across the board in Europe. You have Italy up by the same amount, 1.6%. Then you have the German DAX and the French CAC 40, both up 0.5%. London market, which is not does not use the euro currency, uses the pound. The FTSE 100 is up by 1%. So European markets today are holding steady, despite what I think is a pretty lackluster Spanish auction. Anytime bond yields get that high, that's telling you there's trouble. But nonetheless, the market doesn't seem to mind it. Seems to be shaking it off at the moment. Something else we need to look at today is the U.S. dollar index. The U.S. dollar index is trading lower by 22 cents. When the dollar's down, usually the market will be higher, and that is the case this morning. U.S. dollar index, and this is the U contract, is selling off a little bit today, down 22 cents to 81.99 per contract. So decent little dip in the dollar. Futures are trading higher. We'll see how this market plays out. You do have the Federal Reserve beginning their two-day meeting, FOMC meeting, on interest rate policy. We'll hear the final announcement from them tomorrow afternoon. But either way, the Fed is expected to keep rates at 0%. Many traders are expecting some kind of talk about QE3 and a possibility of Operation Twist, which is currently going on right now. That's where the Fed sells short bonds and buys the long treasuries, or longer-term treasuries like the 10 and 30-year notes, to keep yields down. So a lot of people are expecting Operation Twist to be extended. So we'll see what the Fed comes out with. Right now they're on QE 2.5, if you ask me, and we'll see if what they say going forward. But that will not be released till tomorrow afternoon, as their meeting begins today. And this month it is a two-day meeting, so we'll have to wait on that for tomorrow. So the markets are likely to hold up today ahead of that Fed meeting, unless something really big comes out of the European Union. Right now I'm just not seeing that happen right off the bat. So we'll just have to wait and see exactly what happens. Now let's take a look at gold and silver. We'll start with gold today. Gold is trading higher by 5 points, or $5 to $16.32 an ounce. Decent little move for gold. Let's take a look at the GLD. That tells us, when we see gold up a little bit, that the markets will inflate, or could inflate a little bit. I don't see anything great for gold here, but nonetheless it's holding steady, up $5. And if you look at the GLD, basically the GLD yesterday closed at 157.93. It's trading at 158.24, so it's up a little bit from yesterday's close. And usually gold moving higher will signal inflation, and that's what we're looking at least this morning. You have a pretty similar scenario for oil. Oil is up 19 cents on spot to 83.46 per barrel. Let's take a look at the USO, which is an easy way to trade oil, and you'll see that that is trading at 31.46, closing yesterday at 31.32. The daily chart of this still looks very vulnerable to further declines. However, as long as you have a weaker dollar, oil should hold up. Now, if that dollar starts to rally, watch for weakness in the oil sector. Possibly watch for weakness in gold as well. Although gold and oil are not, gold and the dollar are not as inverse as they were, say, 2 months ago. So it's a little bit of a different picture there. A lot of people are running into gold again and silver as a way of being in a currency, as opposed to just trading the markets with inflation and deflation. So just realize that oil is definitely inverse to the dollar, and if the dollar moves lower, oil should get a little bit more of a bid and vice versa. So that inverse relationship between the dollar and oil is still very well intact. That's what we have to watch for very, very closely, but we'll see exactly how it plays out. Looks like there's some economic news right out. I believe it's U.S. housing permits, and there's a few other things out. U.S. housing starts in May declined 4.8%. April they were up 5.4%. I don't think the market's going to make that big a deal out of it. Right now we're still up 4 points on the futures. Let's take a look at some stocks in the news. We're going to start off with Oracle. Oracle this morning is trading higher. Yesterday Oracle closed at 27.12. This morning trading at 28.51. I believe this is earnings. So you want to give the stock, going to have some resistance around 28.30. Then it's going to have a little bit more resistance around the 29.30 level. You're going to watch that level, 29.25, 29.30, and then 30.63. Ultimately, big resistance around 32. I don't even think it gets up there. I think it's going to find some good resistance first around this 29.30 level. That's a real good resistance point. Watch that 29.25, 29.30. Should be very, very good resistance there. The gap up on Oracle is actually pretty strong today, so just take that into consideration. It's coming off of looks like a 10-day base or something, and that looks pretty strong. But watch that 29.30. I think that would probably be best bet for resistance at the moment. And then after that, it's 30.63, and then $32 even. Okay, so watch those resistance points for Oracle. Another stock that had earnings news today was FedEx Corp. Whether or not the stock's moving up or down, it's always important to remember FedEx. Stock is trading down a little bit to 86.55. It closed at 88.51 yesterday. I'm not going to make too much out of this little pullback. If it does fall, FedEx will have a ton of support at $83. So watch the 83 level for FedEx. If it gets down there, that's the big support level. Until then, I don't think there's a lot to do with this pattern on the charts here. It's very choppy and sloppy, but 83 is a level you could look for a nice little bounce on FedEx, in my opinion. I don't even know if it gets there, but if it does, that would be the level. Let's take a look at Walgreens. Walgreens had an announcement today. I think they're buying some European drugstores. Either way, the stock is starting to sell off now. It was up earlier, but it has begun to fade. Walgreens is going to have a little bit of support right around this 29.79 level. If it breaks through there, there's nothing to do with Walgreens until $28. So just realize that $28 for Walgreens would be your best bet. Right now, it's going to have some support right around $29.78. That's going to be a double bottom from June 1st. So there's going to be a little bit of support there. But if it breaks through there, $28 is going to be your big spot. Let's take a look at Eli Lilly. I did see that they're doing a share buyback. The stock is up a little bit here, trading around 42.40. It has upside to around 42.75, make it maybe even $43. Around that level, I have a hard time seeing it go much higher. It is a weak gap up, so it could be a fade candidate. If the market is strong, though, I don't know how much of a fade we could see, but around $43, this stock looks like it's going to come into resistance. Next resistance after that will be around the 43.85 to 44 level. So watch for resistance. If you own it, just trail your stop loss. If you don't own it, you can look for pattern to possibly look to do a scalp short around those areas. But again, you have to put that together with the pattern, as we do have some wacky markets at the moment. Another stock I saw today moving up pretty sharply was this VRNG. This Vringo. Pretty good pop today, trading around the $5 level. A lot of resistance here. A lot of resistance. I never know. I don't like these small ones. You always got to be real careful. This is usually not a stock that trades much volume. It's very, very thin. But yesterday it did trade 2.46 million shares, which is a rarity. And today it's trading right up into resistance. I think there's a ton of resistance here around this $5 area to $5.25 level. But what you want to watch for is, or I should say, you have to be a little bit careful of the volume. If you own it, I'd lock in some profits, or at least trail my stop right underneath where it's currently trading. And if you don't own it, I would not be looking to buy it here, because this thing is set to pull back. Okay, we have one more. J.C. Penney's. Let's take a look at J.C. Penney's. Stock is getting hit today. Closed at $24.33, trading at $23. J.C. Penney's has to hold this level. Has to hold this little low pivot of around $23. If it fails to hold here, I mean, the stock looks like it's on a clear shoot back down to the double bottom from August 30th, 2010, or that week of August 2010, around 1942. So I wouldn't touch it. If it breaks through to new lows here, this stock should be headed back down to double bottom. That's going to be around 1942. You could play a bounce there if you want, and then after that, the stock becomes can go even lower. So that's your last line of defense for a bounce trade here on this one. It's going to be $19.42 if it gets down there. Other than that, there's really not a lot to do with. Make that $19. Yeah, $19.42. Other than that, there's not a lot to do with J.C. Penney's here. Stock is getting hit this morning, but it hasn't closed at new lows yet. But either way, the only support level I see that even interests me would be $19.42 for a scalp bounce. Okay, and we'll leave it there. As we speak, the futures are higher by 3 points. They have come down a little bit here, but notice the dollar has moved up a little bit, and this correlation is still very, very well intact. Dollar up, market down, and we'll see where it goes from there. Want to wish you all a great trading day, and we'll see you on the charts tomorrow morning. Take care, everybody.